And welcome back to another episode of Hit the Showers podcast presented to you by the Foolproof Entertainment Network. As always, I am Clifford Jordan Jennings here with my co-host Malcolm No Left Hook King. I hear you. We got OG Mike in the building, Mike Brown. Listen, we have fireworks last night, delinquents and gentlemen. It was a good one. And listen, all I will say is I don't want to toot my own horn or anything. I told you so. I was wrong on the round, though. I said 7. I said 7th round. Listen, man, listen. He almost pitched the shutout, though. He only lost 2 rounds in that fight. And that was the 6th and the 7th. That 6th and the 7th. And I wouldn't even so much say, I mean, clearly he lost the rounds, but they weren't like awful losses. He was just trying to get his win back after he went on that rampage. Listen. Yeah, can't be held up by the ropes. Uh-huh. Yeah, they consider it like if you were in the center of the ring and that punch happened, you would have hit the mat. So if the rope stopped you from falling, that's still a knockdown. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was interesting. But I'll say, I mean, especially for the people that didn't tune in on last night's episode, just to recap, I said I saw Valdez winning. I saw him beating Miguel because of his head movement, his footwork, and his defense. And that's exactly what I saw in the first 5 rounds. That head movement and that footwork, he just couldn't keep up. He couldn't keep up with him. And that jab, he had his nose bloodied in the very first round. He like a cobra, like a snake. Listen, man, and he couldn't get out the way. But I said it, listen, we said it last night. It's that Mexican style. It's that I don't care how many times I'm gonna get hit, I'm still gonna keep marching forward. And we actually posed that question last night, is did Canelo Alvarez evolution bring evolution to that Mexican style by adding defense to it? Because what a lot of people aren't aware of is Oscar Valdez actually took Canelo's trainer Eddie Reynoso for this fight. So this is the first fight that he spent in Canelo's camp. And based on like his fluidity on defense, it was very evident that they added something to his game. For sure. So I feel like that fight right there was just proof that that old Mexican style is dead. Like, it's dead. It's just not effective anymore. These kids are slick now. They're fast. You cannot just be a what were those robots back in the day? The Rock'em Sock'em. You can't be a Rock'em Sock'em fighter anymore. It won't work. And I mean, all the best to Belchel. I hope that he bounces back, definitely. But I really feel like Valdez, he gave everybody the blueprint. He gave everybody the blueprint on how to beat him moving forward. So if Miguel Belchel does not download a more fluid defensive style by the next time he gets in the ring, depending on who he's in there with, I see it going similarly. It was a masterclass performance. If I could be honest, out of 10, I give him a 12 on that. He got a 12 on that. And that knockout, we may not have gotten fight of the year, because remember I said it was a potential fight of the year. The only reason why it won't be is because it was so one-sided. But that knockout in the 10th round, We're only in February. I don't see how someone can top that knockout. I think he might get that knockout of the year off this one. Did you see that, Mike? He slipped three punches. He slipped three punches and countered him on the fourth. It was the most beautiful shit. I was looking like, what was you about to say? Man, it was amazing. And I was showing Malcolm when we were looking at the playback. Malcolm was over here. We was looking at the playback when he slipped that last punch. His eye was still on dude the whole time. He turned his head to avoid the shot, but his eye was on him the whole time, and he came up with that hook. It's the most beautiful knockout I've seen in a while. Listen, and like I said, anytime you fall forward, it's bad for you. It's bad for you. That means your lights are knocked out. They turned your lights off when you fell forward. Listen, he well listen, that in that fourth round when he got caught, those legs went out from under him. They were noodles, spaghetti noodles. They were going. I thought the motherfucker was gonna start breakdancing. I thought he was just about to start spinning into it. I was like, he was all over the place. Call that man crazy legs. Man, listen. That was a rough one for him. I mean, I feel bad, but I mean, I saw it that way. I saw it that way. I didn't really see it going any other way than that. Not like that, though. I did too. I didn't think it'd be that one sided. I didn't think it'd be that one sided. Oh yeah, Julio Cesar Chavez. He was a big Eric Morales, Julio Cesar Chavez Senior fan, and they were asking him about the fight, and Julio Cesar Chavez said that he didn't think that Valdez had a shot. So Valdez was like, "Damn, like I didn't take it as disrespect, but it definitely motivated me. Like I didn't want my hero to think I was beatable like that." So that might have been the spark that he needed to, because he took him to school. He took him to school for 8 rounds. But the exciting thing about this, and this is the most exciting thing about it, is anybody that follows boxing enough knows that both of those fighters moved up from 126. Now at 126 was the young boogeyman Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson couldn't get a title fight, I should say, since 2018. He had been calling Valdez out since 2018 and wasn't getting the fight. Then he started calling out Belchelt. They both moved up to 130. He followed him up to 130. So now Shakur Stevenson asked for that fight once again. He said that's the only fight to make at 130. And in the post-fight press conference, Valdez said, "I know that Shakur Stevenson has called me out, and I want to prove to the world that I'm not dodging nobody. I'm ready to fight anybody." So it sounds to me like this fight is damn near booked. So that's going to be a great one. That's going to be a great one. Valdez proved to me that he's up there. He's up there with all of the young bucks when it comes to a slick, elusive style. We know he has power because you're 27-0 with 23 knockouts. You know what I mean? What you got? Yeah. Is that right? That's me. It's fucking me. Damn it. Listen, I'm glad. Well, we are 12 minutes in. We gonna have to run it back. Shit. Well, let's run it back. Shit. We don't got a choice. We did this. I'll just cut all this out. The podcast version, ladies and gentlemen. But for the sake of production, let's reintroduce. And welcome back to another episode of Hit the Showers podcast, presented to you by Foolproof Entertainment Network. I am your host, Clifford Jordan Jennings. And as always, I have my point man. What we call you this week, Malcolm No Left Hook King.
Oh no, we call it Malcolm Valdez Jr. King after last night's performance.
Okay. Well, I know he performed. I don't know if you did, is all I'm saying.
You see me in person at the house.
You weren't performing. We got OG Mike Brown down there.
What's going on, peoples? All right.
And once again, as previously stated, we had a great fight. We had fireworks last night. And once again, I will toot my own horn in saying that it went down exactly the way I expected it to. I didn't see it being as one-sided as it was, but I did know eventually he was going to frustrate Belchelt with that movement and his defense, because Belchelt's not ready for that. That's really what it comes down to.
He wasn't built for it. He wasn't built for it.
And we talked about it last
night. His defense showed it.
Like we talked about it last night, that old school Mexican style. It's just not. It's not.
It wasn't a slugfest like I thought it would be.
Right. No.
No.
And that's what he was expecting. That's what Belchelt was expecting with that Mexican style that I speak of. He was expecting dude to stand in front of him and both of them being able to do the rock'em sock'em robot thing.
Yeah.
Right? But that wasn't the case, because you were in there with a young slick fighter who has defense and was in Canelo Alvarez's camp. He actually picked up his trainer Eddie Reynoso for the fight, and I feel like he downloaded all that information, because all of the past fights I've seen Valdez in, of course, he's been slick enough for me to know that he was going to be able to do that to Belchelt, but never like this. Like, this was a masterclass performance.
Right. It was very nice. I liked it. I mean,
it was.
I give it about fight of the year though, for real. Even though he knocked it out.
Fight of the year?
Yes.
In February already though. It's only February.
I mean, well, we got a few more to see. We got a few more featherweights to see, man. So.
I don't see it being fight of the year just because it was so one-sided, but like I did say, that knockout though, it definitely, I cannot, at this point, I can't see that knockout being topped. Everything that led up to the knockout, the slip punches and everything, it was the most beautiful knockout I have seen. I can't even think of one that would compete with it. Like immediately,
I mean, the Nate Robinson knockout was pretty. It was pretty bad.
First of all, you hit the showers for even bringing up Nate Robinson on this goddamn fight podcast episode. But I was gonna say, well, I know you're not as into it as I am. So like the history out there, but the Juan Manuel Marquez fight where he flatlined Manny Pacquiao and had him laying face down in the ring, just like Nate Robinson, was one that I would have to put up there with this last night. But, Manuel didn't do all those slips. It wasn't that combination. That the way that happened was like the perfect setup. Like he set it up so perfect. And I haven't seen anybody else. I've never seen somebody else do nothing like that.
Especially with the eye vision, like you said, when he, was like
that
this
one
and had his eyes on
that
him
one
still.
And kept his, man, that was. I thought that
came over.
I thought that was amazing. It was like I said, it was a 12 out of 10 performance by Valdez. It was the best. It was the best outing he's had in his career, and it's ironic that would be the best outing with arguably the hardest fight that you've been in. You know what I mean? But in a lot of times when it comes to fighting, and this you'll see my point later in the podcast. A lot of times when it comes to fighting, it's similar to track. Like anybody that's run track knows that you usually run as fast as the person running next to you.
Agreed.
You know what I mean? So if you're running a bunch of slow people, you're not going to have your best time. But if you're running against the fastest people you've ever run against, they'll get that fastest time up out of you. And I think like that's what happened in this fight. He was fighting somebody who, for the sake of the analogy, who was fast. He was quick on the 100-yard dash. And it brought out his speed to show just how much faster he was in that race. And listen, from the look of it, Belchelt didn't even make it to the finish line.
No.
He got hung up on that. He got hung up on that 10th hurdle. That 10th hurdle put him down, and he never got back up to finish
that rope grabbed his leg.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Valdez came out swinging too. Like, I mean, he just came out from the jump, ready to attack. You know,
he bloodied his nose in the first round with that jab. That jab was
that jab was snapping last night. Yes, it was
perfect. His whole game was just so tight. It was everything. Like there was nothing loose about it. I will say, in the 4th round, when he had him hurt, and he gave him them stanky legs like Malcolm said, he did get a little too overzealous. He tried to go too hard for the knockout, which caused a lot of his punches to be thrown a little too wild. They weren't as compact and placed where they should have been like they were before. I feel like if he'd have calmed down in that moment and tightened up his punches, he probably would have got him out of there in the 4th. But because
he could have.
But because I feel like for lack of a better term in the situation, because he blew his load so early, he then had to take that 6th and 7th round off to try to get his win back, which were the only 2 rounds that Miguel won, and not by much, but he did win those rounds because it was very clear Oscar needed that time to recover from throwing all those punches at high intensity. I don't feel like that was the best thing. That'd be the only flaw I could say about the performance. And even that flaw is a nitpicky one, don't get me wrong. But
So, Cliff, we talked about it. My bad. Go ahead.
Nah, what were you saying?
I was just going to say, we talked about it earlier when I came over your house. But, Mike, what did you feel about, what's his name, Cliff? I can't say it correctly. The B fighter.
Belchelt. Miguel Belchelt.
Mike, what did you feel? What did you see in his defense? Yeah, what did you see in Miguel's defense? Do you feel like he had much defense? You feel like he just didn't have any?
Once I started watching the fight and I noticed that right hand was down, I knew then that Oscar was going to come over top and hit him.
You're absolutely right.
Because the right hand was down. If you watched him most of the time, it was down.
And that's why he stopped throwing. If you notice, he stopped throwing the jab and started throwing check hooks out the gate.
Right.
And that's what wobbled him the first time. That gave him the. Listen, he was on them noodles, boy. I thought the motherfucker was about to start breakdancing out there. I thought he was about to spin on his back. Listen, I'm telling you that it was just.
Yeah,
I can't get over how good of a performance it was from him. Like, I'm proud of
it was.
You know what I mean? Like, because from seeing him in the past and seeing him do that, he even said it in a post-fight press conference. He said, I don't know what it was about my previous fights back in the day, but me as well as the people around me felt like I wasn't performing to my level that I could have. And he said that he felt like this was the first fight where the performance equaled out to his ability, like what he could actually do. He felt like he could never really show what he could do in previous fights because he wasn't, I don't know if it's a rhythm thing, I don't know what it is, but whatever Eddie Reynoso did with him in camp definitely did its thing.
Translated. Yeah. This is his showcase. This is Valdez's showcase. This is a way for him to showcase his talent, his ability. And he did. I mean, he went all in. I mean, literally, he went all in.
I agree with you there. And it's a shame. It is a shame because, I mean, he was a WBO champ at 126. You know what I mean? But let's be honest, when it comes to fight sports, a lot of the casual fans like bigger weights. You know what I mean? They're not looking down at the 126, 122 fighters. Most people don't know them by name unless you're a true-to-life boxing fan. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's, what, you said 29-0 now?
Yeah, 29-0.
23 knockouts.
23 knockouts. Yeah.
Well, yeah, now
and he's 30 years old.
And see, that's the shame about it, is this man's already been champion of the world, but it took you to get on ESPN and be 30 years old fighting a Miguel Belchelt to actually get your showcase, your shine.
Yeah.
Like, that's a shame. That is a shame.
Wasn't getting his credit.
Yeah.
But all this is going to catapult him into bigger and better things because, as we were talking about when the podcast was muted, Shakur Stevenson called him out. He wants that.
Yes.
He wants that fight. And Valdez actually said in a post-fight interview that he wants to prove to the world he's not running from nobody. He's not scared of nobody. He'll fight anybody. So like we said before, it sounds like that fight is made. Shakur said he plans to fight in May. That's not a bad turnaround for Valdez. You know what I mean? Like you got 5 months, 4 months.
Shakur, he's up and coming. He's a 23-year-old man. He's 15-0. He's got 8 KOs in his first, his pro career.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he's gonna be a bad little dude, man.
Listen, I think, and this is a bold statement to make.
Oh, here we go. Let's hear it.
But I think after the smoke clears in about 5-6 years, he's gonna be the last one standing at that division.
Shakur Stevenson.
Even because let's be honest, the only threat that he has, well, there's arguably 2 threats that he has. Devin Haney, who he came up with, is a big threat to Shakur. Gervonta Davis is a big threat to Shakur.
Right.
Other than those 2 fighters, I see him running through a lot of people at that weight division. But let's be honest, Gervonta Davis, I don't see him at 130 for much longer because he's getting bigger. He's getting older. He's like 26, 27. He's starting to put on that weight. So he's probably going to go up to 135. Weight. You know what I mean? I see him going up to 135. I don't see Shakur jumping up to 135 that quick when you just got to 130. I see him playing his role out at 130 a bit, clearing out the division, then moving up for a Tank or somebody like that. But I can definitely see him being last man standing, even though I am a Devin Haney fan. Devin Haney and Shakur Stevenson, for all the casuals out there, are like the Biggie and Tupac of their generation. They came up together. They fought each other in the amateurs. Both were expected to go pro or go to the Olympics. Devin Haney wasn't able to because he was too young. So Shakur went to the Olympics and got silver. Devin Haney went to Mexico and turned pro at the age of 17. So that's impressive. That's the difference in their paths. But it's always been said that it's the inevitable that they're going to have to clash.
It's going to happen
as pros.
Yeah.
Because I think Shakur beat him as an amateur, if I'm correct. But Shakur's also 2 years older than him.
Okay, I thought Shakur lost that one. I thought he lost one because he lost one fight in his amateur. And he did he? If I'm not mistaken, I'll have to look it up again. But Shakur Stevens. Oh shit! I forgot what I was gonna say. I
don't think it was Devin though. I don't think it was Devin that would have gave him that loss. If I'm remembering correctly, I think if they fought, Shakur got him.
Didn't he lose before that? He went to the Olympics.
He lost in the Olympics in the championship fight.
Okay. Yeah. I thought one of them because I've seen a video where he was crying at. Then after that,
yeah, that's when he got the silver medal.
Then after that, it's a 15-0 came on.
Right.
So,
that's actually funny that you bring that up, is because he wanted gold and everybody was like, that's why he was crying, of course. But everybody was saying, well, he's good enough to get gold, and it was kind of controversial in that fight.
Right.
It could have went to Shakur, but the judgings, kind of. They gave him some points that, he might not have actually landed. But they were asking if he was willing to wait to, go in next 4 years to go back at it. And he was like, nah, like, I got to catch up. You know what I mean? Devin's already got a pro career, pro record. And I'm still, lead. Yeah. You know what I mean? And he's the younger fighter. So he decided to go pro. And, I mean, he's been stepping up ever since. That's why I definitely think that Valdez fight against him would be a good one.
Yeah, I want to see that. That's going to be impressive. Now,
I like to see that.
did you want to bring up Cliff? We talked about it earlier briefly. And also, hold on real quick. I'm looking at the chat, by the way. One of my best friends I grew up with, he said, his name is Kurt. He said, best fighter out of these four. He said, Ryan Garcia, Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, Tank Davis in order 1 through 4.
Tank.
And you're absolutely insane. And I will say you are absolutely insane. Ryan Garcia only has one major fight on his record, and it's to Luke Campbell, who he got dropped by. Yes, he did get the knockout, which is good, but you only have that one fight. Even Teofimo Lopez beat Richard Comey to get the belt and then went in to fight Vasyl Lomachenko, who is arguably pound for pound #1 fighter in the world. So how can Ryan Garcia be above him if he's accomplished less and fought less competition?
So Kurt just said, no, that's not my order.
Oh,
so I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm sorry then. I apologize. Okay.
He said, what order you have them in?
Yes. Okay. So me, that's tough. I'm definitely putting Ryan Garcia at 4. That's a fact. It's gonna be Tank or Tio at number 1, and it's hard to slight either one. I would probably go Tank just because he has more experience being in the ring. Like he was a champ at the age of 21 when he beat Pedraza, Jose Pedraza, for the youngest champ at that weight division, and then Tio beat him, beating Lomachenko. So I feel like Tank has more experience. With that being said, I may edge Tank out by a millimeter over Tio, but they're close. We need to see that fight, basically, is what I'm saying. To figure that one out, we need to see that fight. Devin Haney is you know what, that's interesting though, because now that I think about it, I can see Devin beating Tio. But I'm still putting Tio at 2 because Devin's not as proven as Tio. But I could see Devin beating Tio. I could see Devin beating Tank, but he's not a 1 or a 2. Yeah, so I'd go Tank, Tio, Haney, Garcia if I was given an order. But yeah, Ryan Garcia, yeah. Even, you know what? I still got to poke fun at you, Kurt, for even putting Ryan Garcia at the front of that list. I'll say that. But that was a great question. That was definitely a great question. Yes. I feel like those are the top dogs. Yeah. But like I said, I see Shakur Stevenson being the last man standing out of all of them at some point in his career.
He's tough. I like him. I like the highlights we watched earlier.
I definitely see him being last man standing. So, I mean, it's going to be good to see how that plays out. Like I said, he's going to be in May. In May, he wants to fight. That gives Valdez 4 months. So you get a month and a half, 2 months with your family, then back to camp. I mean, it's that.
Kurt said that they're all in the same division.
Right. Right. Okay. All those 4, but hey, Shakur's not yet.
Okay.
Shakur is still fighting at 130. They're all in 135. And yeah, I agree with you, Kurt. Kurt said Stevenson's closest to him. I do agree, but he's still he's still green though. That's the difference. Is he's still green. He's never even been tested. If he gets this, I don't want to say never been tested, but if he gets this Valdez fight, this will be the biggest fight to date, and it'll be a big step up from the level of competition he was fighting to fighting now. So I just say at the end of the day, I see that being that. But
Mike, did you see that? Mike, did you see that Shakur Stevenson street fight? Cliff showed me a video earlier at his house.
No,
that happened right when he was going pro. Well, a little after he went pro.
I'll send it to you later, Mike. You gotta watch it. But he whooped the dude. He whooped the dude in skinny jeans. He beat the dude in skinny jeans. That's a bad boy.
But what I don't want to harp on Shakur too much because he didn't do anything to deserve all the talk that we're giving him. But what I will say is what's so interesting about this Valdez Stevenson fight, because I didn't get it out with the muted microphone, is that he had been calling him out since 2018 to fight at 126 when he was the WBO champion down there. Valdez vacated, moved up to 130. Miguel moved up to 130. He had nobody left to fight down at 126, so he moved up to 130 with him. So now, like he said, that's really the only fight left to make at that 130 weight class, unless you're ready to feed Valdez to a Tank Davis, and I don't think you want to do that.
Oh, not yet. No.
I don't think you want to do that just yet. And also, to answer your question, Kurt, as well, Tank is kinda and kinda not in that weight class, because Tank,
you see Kurt's newest post. Okay,
but we'll get to that. But what I was saying was Tank has a belt at 135 as well as a belt at 130. He currently fights at 130. He fights at 130, but he's a belt holder at 135. So that means if he gets called out or they give him a mandatory, he has to come up to 135 to take it. But he actually fights in Shakur Stevenson's weight class currently in the 130, which is why I said that's going to be interesting how that plays out. But as far as your other comment, Canelo, Errol Spence, Terrence Crawford, what's my order going to be? That's a very good question.
Tough.
Canelo's number one.
Right.
Yeah, Canelo's number one by far. He's the face of boxing right now. I'm not happy with the fights that he's been taking at that weight class. Like, I feel like he's been taking some easier fights recently. The Kovalev fight was a pretty good step up, but he's been taking some tune-ups, I would say. Like, they're good names, but to a Canelo Alvarez, that's a tune-up. Nobody wants to see you fight Rocky Fielding. Like, but he's number one. And then that Terrence Crawford, Errol Spence, that's tough too. I'm just gonna put Errol Spence in there off of achievements. He has the most belts. He's the most active. He fights the more dangerous opponents. But if I'm being honest, I think as far as skill goes, Terrence Crawford is the more skilled fighter. But he hasn't really proved himself enough for me to put him above Errol.
Up there, yeah.
But I also feel uncomfortable leaving him at 3 in a list of 3. So let's just add a 4th just for the fuck of it. I'll throw in well, you know what? Those are all kind of different weight classes too, because Canelo's at 168 and Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence are at 147. So if I'm adding another 147 fighter, let's throw Sean Porter in there. Love Sean Porter, but he's definitely going to be at the ass end of that list. You know what I mean? You're not beating out an Errol Spence or a Terrence Crawford. And I feel like that'd be the hardest fight for Terrence Crawford is Sean Porter. Somebody is going to get rough with you and toss you around. And, you know, he hasn't really fought nobody like that.
Right. Now, Mama Dukes, I don't know where she's getting her information from. I'm actually surprised. But she said she has Errol Spence as her number one in her
And you know what? Mama Mouth? I can't say that you'd be wrong in doing that. I can't say that you'd be wrong in doing that. And it's actually funny because that was a talk for a while. They were saying Errol Spence was if Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford wasn't gonna happen, he wanted to move up to fight Canelo. Errol Spence did, and I think that that would be a great fight. I think that's also one of those fights that's a lot closer than everybody thinks it is. But at the same time, I think Canelo's leagues ahead of Errol Spence, just purely off of his experience. Canelo Alvarez was a professional champion in Mexico at the age of 15. He came into the States and started fighting and tore through everybody to get a title shot with Floyd Mayweather at 23. And the only reason why Floyd Mayweather took that fight when he did is because he wanted to catch him before he developed enough to be able to actually give him a fight. Right. And now you see how far Canelo has developed since then, since that Canelo fight or the Mayweather fight. Now he's like I said, he's changing the Mexican style in boxing. We no longer do that brawl anymore. Now you see slick Mexican fighters coming out, moving, weaving, head movement, sharp jabs. That wasn't a thing before. So that goes to show, I mean, he's changed the game. Charlo in there. That's a good one. Listen, Kurt, I like your style. Charlo is a good one.
Kurt's a smart man.
He is a good one.
He know more than me. He know more than me.
Now, Charlo, Canelo, I think, don't get me wrong, I do think there's a reason why Canelo has been avoiding him for so long. I think Canelo's better. I definitely do. But I think that there's something worrying Canelo about Charlo, because Charlo has followed Canelo 3 weight divisions to try to catch him, and then Canelo moved up to 168. Charlo's still at 154. So he said he'll move up to 160 to fight Canelo, but Canelo's already been running from you. What makes you think Canelo will drop 8 pounds to meet you at 160? He's the marquee name. He's the guy everybody wants in the ring. So nobody bends at Canelo doesn't bend to anyone's will. You bend to Canelo's will. Like Mayweather. Right. So I can't ever see that. I can't ever see that Canelo fight taking place unless Canelo wants to be nice and say, I'll meet you at 160. Let's do it. But I don't see that happening. I see it being...
Yeah, Canelo's a dog.
I see Canelo saying, I'll give you that fight, but come up to 168. And that's going to be dangerous for Charlo because you got to jump 2 weight classes just to get there, even after you moved up 2 weight classes to chase him. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
So essentially, he jumped 4 weight classes to try to get that fight with Canelo, and I think he's too smart for that. That's dumb. That's dumb to do.
Did you see where Kurt said Sean Porter or Danny Garcia? Of course, I don't know these guys, so I can't comment. As you may know these guys, Sean Porter or Danny Garcia
all day. Sean Porter, Sean Porter all day. But I do know. I think if I'm remembering correctly, I think Danny Garcia beat Sean Porter for the belt. No, Kell Brook beat Sean Porter for the belt. So I think Sean Porter may have beaten Garcia for the belt. They fought before, and I think Porter won.
Let's see. I wonder. Kurt may know. He may chime in and say something. But yeah, like I said, I don't know. But
I know. Danny Garcia lost to
Keith Thurman. You may look it up?
Yeah, you can.
You may look it up?
Matter of fact, now that I'm thinking about it.
Porter.
He lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Errol Spence, and I think he lost to Sean Porter.
So it says that Sean Porter was able to convince the judges he did just enough to defeat Danny Garcia and win the WCB World Welterweight title.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So he's who took the belt from Garcia, and then Garcia fought Keith Thurman for the belt live on Fox the same year Cleveland won the championship. 2017 was that Cleveland? The year Cleveland won.
Let me see.
It was the same year.
The Cavaliers.
And then he came back and was beating some folks, but he lost again to Errol Spence. And since then, I think he's being he's kind of in the Broner book. Like, not to disrespect Danny Garcia, because I know he's giving more than Broner, but you're getting put down as a gatekeeper at this point, where it's like, we'll give you a Danny Garcia fight to see if you're good enough to fight the real champions. And that's fucked up, but.
Cavs won in 2016, by the way. You're a sad Cavs fan for not knowing what year your team won their only championship.
One of them. One of the years. Yeah. They all bleed together.
Right. But then Kurt said one of his favorite boxers offhand, speed and skill, is Zab Judah. Underrated as can be, is what Kurt said. He the only one to give Mayweather his knockdown. That they didn't count. Yeah, he knocked Mayweather down and they didn't count. Oh, they didn't count it?
Mayweather touched the
ground.
Yeah, Zab was one of my... I actually rooted for Zab against that in that Mayweather fight. I wanted Zab to win.
Everybody roots against Mayweather.
Well, I like Mayweather. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. I'm a Mayweather fan, but I wanted Zab Judah to win that when I did. I'm not going to lie. But what you got?
Remember, did you and I watch, I know you and Mike probably remember when, was it Mayweather versus Canelo? It was Mayweather versus somebody.
It was Mayweather Pacquiao we watched.
Is that who it was?
We watched that at years
ago, right? Years ago, right?
Yeah.
Years ago. Yeah, I remember. I think that's the fight, but I remember, speaking of my mom, I know she's probably still, and I remember her and Alexis, they don't like Mayweather. They think he's too cocky. So
Well,
I remember
see-
they were rooting against him.
That's his
In his
model.
fight.
That's his model, though. If
Right,
He can get
that's
you to,
his-
if he can, like he says it all the time. If I can get you to love me or hate me, either way you gonna pay.
I did my job.
Either way,
Right.
you
I
gonna
did my
pay.
job.
If you love to watch me fight, you gonna pay, and if you hate me and want to see me lose, you're gonna pay. So really, that's his promotional style. To do that, to make people want to tune in, to be like, is he really as good as he says he is? And every time he proves he is. He
shows up
above everybody. He's my greatest fighter of all time. Like even over Ali and all that. Now I'm not saying this is strictly
right. Like whoa.
Listen, this is strictly boxing, and from a strictly boxing standpoint. I don't see how you can make the argument, because I mean, think about it. Think about how many wars Ali was in.
A lot.
Exactly. And think about how many times Mayweather's been hit flush. Ali has been in more wars than Mayweather has been hit flush in his life, in his career. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So to me, it's like, even though Ali was more exciting to watch, of course, and he meant so much because of outside the ring as well, it was still a situation where it was like, this man has literally mastered the sport of boxing, and he's showing you it in front of your eyes, and you still can't see what he's showing you. You know what I mean? There's so many different nuances to his game that people don't recognize. That's like, well, damn. You know what I mean? Ali was great, but you got hit too much. You got hit too much, bro.
He did get hit too much. Yes, he did.
His whole idea of surviving against, what's the name, was the rope-a-dope. I'll stay against the ropes and absorb your shots because I can't do too much else. You're never going to see Mayweather do that.
That was a fight.
That wanted you to hit him.
Mayweather
Ali wanted you to hit him, though.
And that's weak. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that's weak. And I mean, honestly, though, from a fighter standpoint, that's why you got the shakes later on down the line, because you did not have to be. And I'm not saying that disrespectfully. I'm saying you didn't have to be in those wars. Whoever your trainer was, whoever your cornerman was, should have said, "Aren't you pretty, Ali? Aren't you float like a butterfly, sting like a bee? Why
but nobody could tell him
trading
nothing
with this man? Stop trading with him and do what you do best."
Nobody could tell Ali nothing. Now, Mike, so Cliff says Mayweather. I'm saying Ali. Right. I was going to get to that. I don't know who that is. Do you want to elaborate? I don't know who that is. Do you want to elaborate?
She took it back to the history books. That was the first black heavyweight champ. That was before.
I think she's using Google.
They didn't even wear the same gloves they wear now. Right. Like back then, they were still innovating the gloves where they were just to cover the fist. It wasn't like a padded. And then they started adding padding to the gloves. But if I'm being honest, I was more of a Joe Louis fan than a Jack Johnson fan. I like Joe Louis that came after him than Jack Johnson.
Mike, who's your favorite fighter of all time? I say Mayweather. I'm sorry, Cliff says Mayweather. I say Ali. Who do you like, Mike?
He's not my favorite.
Okay.
Well, I mean, some sorry, you said the best. You said the best.
My favorite all time, and world, I hope you're listening. Mike Tyson. That's
hold on. That's your favorite, or the best?
That's my favorite. He's the best.
Okay.
You know, all wrapped in the
Iron Mike.
Yeah, that's
even after Buster Douglas.
Even biting that man's ear off, he's still a man.
That's crazy.
Holyfield.
That's crazy that my dad trained with Buster Douglas's dad, and I trained with Buster Douglas.
No, did you?
Yeah, that's crazy.
In fact, I didn't even know that. That's news, bro. I didn't even know that.
I mean, my dad was my trainer, but when I went especially when he took over the rec center, the Thompson's Rec Center, I was always down there.
Wow. So you met Buster. So you met Buster Douglas.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
I talked to him after I got shot and trying to get my rhythm back in my legs because my leg wasn't working the same way, and I felt like I was uncoordinated with my footwork. And he was like, he would give me pointers to do to get my feet
help you out.
Right. And I actually broke my.
What was he like? What was he like?
As far as a fighter, as far as a trainer.
Well, you can even go into both. That's pretty interesting. No, yeah, I mean, I'd elaborate on both. It's pretty interesting. Elaborate on both.
As a fighter, I mean, let's be honest. He was a B-level fighter. that got an opportunity to fight Mike and didn't fold under the pressure is what it came down to. Buster Douglas was never an A-level fighter. He was good, but he wasn't an A-level. He wasn't great. Right. He wasn't up there with them.
Elite.
Everybody pegged him to run, Mike Tyson to run through that man.
Yeah, right. He was the underdog.
And the fact that he went, and you know the story is that Buster Douglas's mom died the night before the fight. And he wanted to go out and win the fight for his mom. That's a man. That's a man with something to fight for.
Right. Yeah.
Sure enough.
Listen,
that's heavy.
That's different. Like they say, you back a cat into the corner, it becomes one of the most dangerous animals. You feel what I'm saying? So you don't got to be an A+ level fighter to best somebody better than you on that night. You know what I mean? But as a fighter, like I think that as a trainer, I think he was lazy, because I think just the fact that I think the fact that you were like, don't get me wrong, I love him, but the fact that you were working for a rec center and you weren't in like Buster Douglas training gym, I feel like if it was his situation, he would have had more of a drive to do it. But because he's at a rec center and there's not a lot of people, like you got to think, certain people come to rec centers just to do cardio.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying? He's not a fighter. He just wants to punch on some mitts. And he has to put the mitts on and do that with them because he works at the rec center, where he'd rather be working with an actual fighter, you know what I mean? Trying to...
Is he from here? Where's he from? Where's Buster Douglas from?
Mm-hmm. He's from here.
I did not know that. Mm-hmm. I hadn't learned something new. I did not know that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's not to take anything away from him. Love him. But he just was
put on for y'all.
He wasn't an intense kind of guy. You know what I mean? He was a kind of
I don't know, casual
kind
of just.
But yeah, no, I mean he definitely helped me out. I sparred with him before I did that Tough Man back, or I worked with him before I did that Tough Man back in 2017, I believe. You know I'm not good with years, Cleveland. So
I can't. Is there anybody else, Cliff, that you've met? In the sport of boxing that has like somewhat of a name or had a name besides Buster, like that's pretty interesting.
Beyond Buster, I met Buster Douglas before I even I met him at Sam's Club back when I was a little kid. I mean, like 5-6 years old, like
me his age,
right? Like but I'd already been trained. My dad trained me as soon as I could walk, so I knew fighters. I knew all the fighters, so I knew who Buster was even when I saw him at that age in the store. And I think he signed an autograph for me back then. And then it's just ironic that I ended up working with him once I, started doing a little bit.
Right. That's cool though.
It's funny how it goes full circle. You know what I mean?
Right.
But other than the Vargas fight, as we know, Adrian Broner fought last night as well.
He sure did.
He did get the decision win, but it wasn't a good one. I don't think that he has a career in boxing anymore. I think they may be willing to give him one fight possibly again, but I think that just cemented the fact that he's not there anymore. He landed 0 punches in the first round.
Really?
And they were filling each other out, of course, but the fact that you didn't throw enough to land 1 punch in the first round, and we just talked about that last night. The whole issue with Broner is you don't have a high enough punch output. You just want to counter punches, but you don't want to be on the offensive, and that ends up putting you in a position where you can't win. You can't come back. It's harder. It's easier to come back in a sport like basketball than it is a boxing. You know what I mean? Unless you got enough power to erase everything that they did with a knockout blow, it's hard to come back because you're taking punches, which is depleting you. Your energy's depleted. You're losing confidence every time you get touched. So the later the rounds go in, the more you're thinking, I don't think I'm going to win this one. And your punches start to show you're thinking, I'm not going to win this one. I've been in that position where it's like, I'm just not going to get this one. This one's not going to be a win for me. And
that'd be tough.
Because you still got to get out the fight, right?
At least, like you said, because that's a good point. Because at least in other sports, it's a team sport, so you can be like, "Hey, I need y'all to help pull me through. This is just you.
You still got to survive. You have to survive,
right?
And, But I mean, that's why I love it. That's why I love the sport. It tells you, it brings the truth out in people. A lot of people say that they're willing to work hard until you get in the ring, and it's like, oh, you quit when things get tough, huh?
Yeah.
Let me start pulling you into deeper water so you can quit on me and I can hurt you. A lot of people think they can take a punch until they get into, you know what I mean? What were you saying?
Hey, Cliff. So one of my old managers from one of our previous workplaces, I'll say, just put "gotta represent for the family." Tommy Hitman Hearns, which I didn't know he was related to him. So shout out to the Hearns. He said first loss to Sugar Ray, definitely knew how to hold his own.
Oh yeah, Hitman Hearns.
Oh, for sure.
One of the all-time.
Shout out to the Hearns, Marcus.
He's one of the all-time greats.
Man, give you a jab right now.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I mean, that makes sense. That makes sense. Shout out to the Hearns, boy.
Listen,
he had the jab, boy.
I loved his. I loved his Martin episode. Do y'all remember that where Martin watched him?
A little bit. yeah.
Then swole him up.
Yeah. Right. Oh, that was him and Martin. Hold on, that was him.
Yeah,
and Martin
Tommy.
episode?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, okay.
Martin.
Shout out to listen. I'll leave Marcus alone, and I'll make sure I won't mess with Marcus. I'm not running the family at this point. But my dad had just said, Roy Jones Jr. and Tyson in their prime were the best in his opinion. He said throw Hagler in there too. I'm not sure who Hagler is. I know.
Hagler's he's good too.
Hagler was amazing. Hagler and Sugar Ray had I don't think it was 2 fights, right? It wasn't 3.
I thought it was 3.
It could have been 3.
I'll look it up.
Tommy Hearns
who we talking about?
Marvin
Ray. Sugar Ray
Hagler?
Yeah, Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard. I can't, but he retired after that last fight with them. He went over and started doing acting in Japan. He's a Japanese movie star. To this day, he's a Japanese movie star. Marvin Hagler.
So Marvin Hagler versus Sugar Ray Leonard. It just says date April 6, 1987. They fought a couple of times, y'all are saying though?
Yeah, I think they fought at least twice.
Okay.
I don't know if it was a trilogy or not though.
Okay, hold on. So it says
it might have just been twice.
Yeah, it's not telling me. It's not even telling me. Someone had already looked on Google and said how many times did they fight, but it's not telling me how many times that they did fight.
Right.
So that had to be.
It's cool though.
Kurt said Hagler was the boogeyman.
He was.
Kurt said was it Marcus or Marvin?
Marvin Hagler.
Marvin.
Yeah, Marvin Hagler.
Okay.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler was his name, but he was the boogeyman, and they're saying that Errol Spence is the new Marvin Hagler, and I think that that's a very close comparison because they both were butchers to the body. They both they cut your body down. That's what they were known for, is body blows, tearing that body up and then going for the knockout. And that's exactly how Errol Spence fights. He breaks you down to the body and then starts beating your head up when you get too tired to run away from him. And that's how Hagler tried to fight Sugar Ray. But we all know he was good with his feet. That man was on his bicycle. Sugar
Ray was, he was quick.
He with better footwork than Sugar Ray.
He might have did ballet on the side.
He might have the best footwork in boxing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty sweet.
Yeah, he was great. But that Broner, it was just
that was a good fight.
It was just don't get me wrong, he had glimpses of greatness in it. Like you could see points where he would go back to the old Broner, but for a 12-round fight, he just does not bring enough to the table to continue to
keep going.
And it's crazy because
I agree.
We saw what they put up. He's a 4-division champ up there with
that was impressive.
Pacquiao and Mayweather. Pacquiao's 8, Mayweather's 5, De La Hoya's 5, or maybe 4.
Something like that. Something like that.
4. So, I mean, you're up there with great company, but why? It seems like that one fight where he lost, he just couldn't shake off the...
Demoralized him?
Right.
Well, we talked about this earlier. and Mike, you may agree too. You know, Cliff and I, we spoke about this. Some people just become a shell of themselves. You know what I mean? Like you were great for so long.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Some points.
Right.
And now it's like you still have that elite name on paper,
right.
but you may not be at that elite level that you.
And that's what's so sad about it, because he was on his way. Like he was on his way to like beating. Like he was only one division away from tying Mayweather's record as a champ.
Right.
And the one mistake you made was getting too big for your boxing shorts. You feel what I mean? Like all you had you saw Mayweather struggle with Marcus Maidana, not Marcus, Marco, what's his, Maidana, right? Regardless. That's the one we watched out in
in the restaurant, Mexican restaurant.
Yep.
great fight that night.
Had the whole house upset. Mayweather had the whole house pissed off.
Then we had to hurry up. Cliff and I went to a Mexican restaurant. We had to hurry up and get up out of there.
For Mayweather and everybody going crazy for. Listen, they was pissed, but
they were.
Broner seen that and he wanted to prove that he was just as good as Mayweather, and he wasn't. And Maidana put it on him.
Manuel.
No, not
Cliff.
Emmanuel. It's like Marcos Maidana or something. M-A-C.
Okay, yeah,
M-A-R-C-O-S. I believe. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see him get another shot. If he does get another shot, he has to get the fuck up out of Florida, man. He cannot keep training in Florida. Like, that whatever gym he's at in Florida is not helping him out. They're not doing what they need to do to get the best out of him.
It was Marcos, by the way.
Yeah, Marcos,
Florida.
But it's just, and then you're in Florida too. You know what I mean, close to Miami and all that. And we know how you are, AB. You like to be flashy and go out and spend money. That's not the best place for you.
Yeah, I can tell. You can tell. And by the way, Cliff and Mike, my dad said that Hagler and Leonard had one fight.
Oh, was it only one?
And he also said,
okay.
Yeah, he said Leonard and Sugar Ray fought 3 times. Listen, that's the boxing historic right there.
Leonard and Sugar Ray is the same person, though.
Yeah, Sugar Ray Leonard.
Hagler is a different person, right?
Right.
Hagler, he's saying Hagler, whoever Hagler is, him and Leonard fought one time. And he's saying that Leonard...
Yeah, that's
we're saying Sugar Ray is Sugar Ray Leonard
versus Sugar Ray is the same person, so that's what I'm saying. It might have been a what's it called?
It might have meant
a type
in
there,
or something.
But
typo.
He's thinking of Roberto Duran.
Right. Yes.
Oh, Duran.
Yeah. He's thinking of Roberto Duran. I might have been thinking of Roberto. I might have been thinking of Roberto Duran when I said the trilogy.
He said, my dad said, my bad. He said, Hearns versus Sugar Ray was 3 fights.
Okay. Was it?
Hitman Hearns.
That's
Yes, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I know they fought a couple times. I didn't know they fought 3.
Yeah.
Listen.
Yeah. So I thought.
These cats know. They was probably watching it at the time. They know. They've been around long enough. They probably was watching it.
I might have. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, back on them heavy back TVs y'all had back in the day.
Yeah.
With the antenna clip.
Antenna. That's what a motherfucker used to ask you to move and used to be like, what kind of TV you got? You got a big screen? With all them pictures up on the top of your big screen TV, we gotta move all them pictures down and then carry it down. How many steps you got? I ain't moving.
You're right.
You better call in a truck.
Yep.
But other than, let's touch on the last fight here. And
okay.
Then, we'll keep it moving. We had decent time. I don't know.
Right, 4:02.
So let's hurry up and finish. But Robert Easter Jr., Ryan Martin.
Oh yeah.
And Martin, I looked up on that the other day.
Did you, Mike? Look at you doing homework.
We talked about this fight last night, and I said that Ryan Easter said in the pre-fight press conference that he said, "I'm sorry, Adrian, but I'm still in the show tonight." He did that exactly.
He went on the show.
He did that exactly. Listen, when I tell you, he hadn't fought since 2019 when he fought Adrian Granados. And so basically, it wasn't a full 2-year layoff, but it was approaching a 2-year layoff. And when I say he came back in this ring and looked like he never left,
Probably didn't.
It was amazing to like his rhythm, his timing, the distance. He was always right at the tip of his jab, but whenever he threw, he was right out the way of all of his. It was amazing to, because usually when you're out of the ring for months, you know what I mean, it could be 6 months.
It's tough.
You start to lose that distance, that timing, that rhythm, that movement.
Your flow.
Everything was there. I could not see a flaw in his fighting. The only thing that he did do was in the third round he decided to start fighting on the inside. That's what gave him confidence, because the dude couldn't touch him on the outside. Like I said, he was always on the outside of his punches, so he was missing everything. But when he decided to go on the inside for some reason, that gave the dude the opportunity to rough him up, land a few punches. Recover. And it gave him his confidence. But even still, I scored the fight 2-10. He
2-10?
Yeah, 2-10. Dude won 2 rounds.
Landslide.
Dude won 2 rounds. Robert Easter Jr. won the 10. And it was by far. The 12th round, the whole fight, he had his hands below his waist, like Roy Jones.
Dang.
And to be out of the ring for 2 years and to be that comfortable to know that you won't hit me. I can keep my hands down here, you won't hit me. It was amazing to see. It was amazing to see. And like I said, he took the L against Mikey Garcia at 135. This man is 5'11". How you're making 135, I don't know. Now, he said it himself, making 135, I'm losing muscle when I do that. He said, I'm cutting so much weight, I'm even losing muscle to get down to 135. He said, 140, I feel comfortable. And you could tell he was comfortable. It was amazing how comfortable he was. Like, I mean, if there's a chance that you can watch that fight just to see, like, that was boxing is what he did. It wasn't a fight, it was boxing. It looked like a choreographed dance. It looked like 2 men dancing, but only one was the leader.
Right.
Yeah, one was the father, the other one was stepping on feet. You feel what I'm saying?
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
But it's funny that I say that, stepping on feet, because Ryan Martin has more pop than Robert Easter Jr. He just didn't have the footwork to be able to get into position to land a good punch. It was one point where Robert Easter was circling the ring, getting out of the way, and he's trying to cut the ring off to stay in front of him, and he crosses his feet like this. That's the first no-no that they teach you in boxing with footwork. You never cross your feet, ever.
Right.
And there was a point in the fight, as a professional who has more than 25 fights, you cross your feet trying to stay in. That just let me know he's in your head. Like you're not thinking. Like you're just trying to get there, and it's not. It was a great fight for Robert.
He's got you right. He's got you right where he wanted you.
I'm glad to see both the Ohio boys won last night. Browner got the win for Cincy. Easter got the win for Toledo. That's good to see.
Okay.
Like I said, I would like to see Broner back at least, one more. I feel like he deserves at least one more after that performance. It wasn't awful, but it was bad.
It was subpar.
Right.
It was bad.
Not to his standard. It wasn't to Broner's standard.
But with that being said, it's funny. Remember I said I'd take it full circle. The track scenario. You only run as fast as the person you're running with. And right now they're throwing Broner scraps just to see if he can still fight. And because he's fighting scraps, he's fighting like scraps. You feel what I'm saying?
So you think Broner could hang if they give him somebody worthy?
I mean, he lost to Pacquiao, but it wasn't like an awful defeat. The only reason why he lost to Pacquiao is because you weren't throwing punches. Like we know you won't do. You won't throw punches. But, I mean, I feel like if there was just somebody that could get in his head enough to let him know, let your hands go. You can't just hold your hands waiting to counter somebody for a knockout. Let your hands go and score points. If somebody did that, then he would be back on an elite level. But because nobody's getting them together, I don't know what the case may be, it looks like it's the end of the road for Broner. I would like to see him do something, but I feel like at this point you've been given too many chances and you haven't done much with it.
Well, he's too worried about you. You heard his post interview. He's too worried about the social media. Remember, he said F Twitter and He said most of my Twitter hates me anyways. Right. Like he's not worried about what's in front of him.
That's good though. That's the first thing that he said that I applauded. Okay. Because he normally is the type that hop on like he's the type of person that if he would see this podcast and hear me talking about him like this, he would probably try to look for me type. He's that type of person. You know what I mean? Like he's the type of person that'll be on Twitter and see somebody talking shit about him and then he'll go viral for cussing them out under their comment. Like why? Like why are you socializing with the peasants? You should be up in the tower.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
we're just
regular people. Don't worry about our comments.
We don't matter.
But the fact that he said fuck Twitter and fuck the people that doubted me, that I was like, thank you. Finally, you're getting it. Finally, you're cutting out the distractions. So I mean, you won. It was his first win in 4 years.
That's a long time.
First win in 4 years. That's a long time. So. I mean, I wish him the best, but I honestly don't see it going too much past another fight, unless he gets another fight and gets the flash knockout. You know what I mean? The one that nobody saw coming. That's the only way that he resurrects Adrian Broner's career. Period. Point blank. I don't see it any other way.
I think Broner's on his way out. I think I don't know if he realizes that or not yet, but I think he definitely is probably on his way out as far as his career goes.
Yeah.
I think so too. But I mean, other than that, that's really it. I will go around and get y'all's opinion of Hit the Showers and things like that. But before I do that, I did want to announce that MMA is back on Showtime. So I guess they have renewed the contract, or not renewed. Well, yeah, it would have had to have been a renewal because they were on Showtime and then they came back. So they renewed their contract with Bellator. So they are doing the Bellator finals of the Featherweight Grand Prix, which is if you don't know anything about it, you should look into it. It's basically a tournament, but the fighters get to pick who they want. It's no promoter.
Got you. Okay, that's cool.
The fighter goes up and says, I want you. And they're like, all right, we make that fight.
All right.
And we fight next week type shit. And then they come back next month and continue it out. So I think that's very interesting. And it's good to see that they did bring that back on Showtime. The featherweight Grand Prix semifinals, comes on April the 2nd, Friday, April 2nd. And then the light heavyweight Grand Prix starts on April the 9th. Now, for all my MMA heads out there, basically all Bellator is retired UFC fighters. You know what I mean? So like
that's good to know.
When you get too old to fight in the UFC and you can't compete at that level, you go to Bellator. Because Bellator right now has Anthony Rumble Johnson. I don't know if you know him. He has they have Lyoto Machida, Phil Davis, Yoel Romero, Ryan Bader's currently the champ. These are all ex-UFC champions that I'm naming. Except for Phil Davis. Phil Davis didn't get the championship. But Lyoto Machida, Ryan Bader, Yoel Romero, and Rumble Johnson did. So you got to think this is basically like the Arena League to the NFL. You know what I mean? So
that makes sense.
It's good to see that they are back on Showtime. I'm interested to see how that works moving forward and the viewership that they get off of that, because that definitely could be interesting and bring a lot of people who don't usually watch fight sports into the fandom, which I definitely agree with. So I do want to salute them and wish them all the best on that. But as far as this episode goes, what I would like from you two, other than who you would like to hit the showers, is a rating of performances by Valdez and Miguel Belchel. Like I said, I gave mine. I do think that Valdez definitely came in at a 12 out of 10. He definitely exceeded the expectation. He exceeded perfection in my opinion in that fight. And Belchel was just, in my opinion, I would have to give him a 4. Just because, as good as you are, you made no adjustments. You made no adjustments throughout the fight. And for you to be a 38
38 and 2.
Yeah, 38 win champion. There's no reason why you can't change your game plan. You know what I mean? Just for the fact that you're a champ and you have 38 wins and you only went in there with one game plan lets me know that was a 3 performance. 3.5. We'll put him right in the middle. Give him a 3.5 performance.
I agree.
Yeah.
On that.
That's being nice.
And if I'm giving my hit the showers, I gave it to Broner last night, so I'm not gonna continue to pick on him. I'll give it to what's the dude's name? I'll give it to Ryan Martin.
Okay, hit the showers.
Because you had a chance to be a lot more competitive in that fight, but your footwork wasn't there. He looked like he really didn't want to be there. Like he was just doing it for the check. And anytime you're in a sport that you can die in the ring, you shouldn't be just doing it for a check. Right. You know what I mean? So with that being said, I'm gonna need Ryan Martin to hit the showers, in my opinion. But what about you, Mike? How you feeling?
Okay. I'm giving my man Miguel, I'm gonna give him about a 3. And for the hit the showers, Miguel hit the shower. You went first last night.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, snap.
Listen, Nate Robinson.
That's all I gotta say.
He got Nate Robinson last night. Belchelt got Nate Robinson.
Man, didn't he? There's gonna be a meme on him next too. There's gonna be a meme on him next too.
Hey, what they should do. Listen, for everybody who still may be in the chat, anybody who is a computer guy, what I'm gonna need Pacquiao face down. I'm gonna need Belchelt face down and Nate Robinson face down, and I want a slumber party meme. I need a slumber party meme for all of them.
and they caption to say night night.
Period. And I will provide an email on the next episode that you can send that to, and I will put that up at either the beginning or the end of our next episode. If somebody has that in them. If not, it's okay. We'll get on it. But Mal, did you give your
Valdez? I think you hit it out the park. Valdez, I definitely would give like you said, a 12 out of 10. He came in hot and heavy, well prepared. Right. Ready to go. Looked great. I love what I've seen from him. And as far as the ratings go, like I said, for Miguel, I'm giving him a 2.5 out of 10. There's no defense. Leaned into the hits. You just came in open. You was asking for punishment.
He did. After and then you know what? After the 6th round, you saw him start overextended and running after him in the ring instead of being tight and compact and
right.
I agree.
Right. Reserve yourself.
Yeah.
So, and as far as my hit the showers go, I would say Miguel hit the showers, and also Mike, I'll send you the video later. Clip we watched earlier. Curtis Blades from UFC hit the showers because you got knocked out too. But
he didn't do bad up until then though. But I agree with it.
Up until then, it was decent. But at the end, you hit the showers.
You got knocked us.
And it was a brutal knockout too.
It was. It was vicious.
It looked like King Kong versus Godzilla out there. Is what He came down with the sword on his ass real quick.
Came over the top and tried to finish him off. Remember, he tried to finish him off too.
But to everybody out there, we definitely appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate the activity in the chat, and we will be more cognizant of that moving forward. We have had talks in the background as far as production to incorporate the chat. We want everybody to be involved with the conversation, so keep throwing them out there. Helps with the show. We appreciate the content. We appreciate the support. Like, subscribe,
share.
Thank you.
All that. That's tough to say. All that.
Thank you. We appreciate y'all.
All that.
Man, much love.
Do you fellas have anything to say to take us out of here?
No, just
anything pop?
no, just everybody be safe, man.
Right.
You know, in peace.
You know, stay warm and all that.
Yeah.
Tune in
Yes,
next
sir.
time. We'll probably be back next time.
Next Wednesday or Thursday?
Probably a Wednesday or Thursday. There, we'll talk some NBA and whatever else is going on around there. But love y'all. Y'all stay safe.
Love you
stay
too,
warm.
bro.
Love y'all.
And we out this bitch.
All right. See ya.
You know?
Let's do it.